Hello, and thank you for joining me for Lecture 2C. We are going to be talking about describing the process, and I've called this lecture Creativity, the Process over the Product. So how do we get there? Well, we talked about the definition for creativity in Lecture 2A, and I began to describe Howard Gardner's theory to you. So in thinking about that, part of what we need to talk about is the process versus the product. Okay? So let's think about how we offer children an activity. We began to talk about that just a little bit yesterday. But what I want to say more than anything ever to you, to get across to you, that in developmentally appropriate practice, the concern that NACE has with the product approach is that it bypasses the creative processing for the child. In other words, when you take a bunny rabbit and you give it whiskers, you cut out the whiskers, you cut out the nose, you cut out the tail, you say what color the bunny rabbit's going to be, you say what color the tail's going to be, all those different kinds of things. Then what you have done is you've literally told the kid, it doesn't matter what your thoughts are, this is the way I think the bunny rabbit should look, and therefore you have no room to offer your opinion, you have no room to offer your creativity whatsoever. So that when we look at the product approach as where we want the product to look a certain way, then we've taken out the creativity, and we've also taken away the child's ability to process and actually understand how the product gets where it is, because they don't have any participation in the process. Okay? So the process of doing art could be called arting. Edwards 2006 and Isabel 2007 say that arting is more important than creating finished art products. In other words, it's more important for the goals of early childhood art, which involve movement and the discovery of self-accomplishments, is actually more important than what the product looks like. So it's the process that the child has of dissecting a piece of arting than it is for what the product looks like. So creativity is an attitude, it's not an aptitude. In other words, there's no right or wrong way for a child to do an art project when you are thinking about it being an attitude, not an aptitude. And when you think about creativity as an attitude, then you begin to take on this enormous feeling that children can try new ideas, that they can push boundaries, that they can explore possibilities, that they can manipulate and transform their ideas and their materials, that they can take things apart, put them back together in different ways, not according to your thinking, but according to their thinking. That they can physically play with objects, they can use their imagination, they engage with the process, They solve problems and they try to figure things out on their own. They begin to ask questions and they challenge the accepted ways of doing things the same way every single day. So creativity actually becomes a skill where children are creative, where the potential remains not dormant, but it actually becomes practiced every single day. And so Steinberg in 1995 said that he believes that creativity, like intelligence, is something that everybody possesses in some amount, but we have to allow that to be practiced on a continual basis and not to lay dormant. Now that's a little bit different than what Gardner says, because he says that it's you're born with it. You have an innate ability. But Steinberg says, listen, if you let it lay dormant, it's going to stay dormant. But if you allow the child to practice, then the more creativity is going to start to come out. It's going to become an attribute to them. So we have to look at creativity as a skill too. It's a little bit different from looking at it from Gardner's standpoint, but let's just keep an open mind there, because creativity often peaks during the 4th year of life. That's why you see 4-year-olds, they become very creative. Their imaginations start running wild. The first time you ever hear them say, I'm scared there's a monster under my bed, should be a click in your mind to say their imagination has popped in and it's going full force, because it peaks in that 4th year. And it's during that time that we need to push for that creative spawnness to take place, and we need to begin to look for Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence being in place in these little 4-year-olds in their life. Okay, so here is some things to check yourself on. First of all, don't put down a kid's curiosity. Curiosity can be verbal or it can be nonverbal. Nonverbal comes with their hands. It comes with their feet. So a lot of times misbehavior. You answered that question in 2B about misbehavior. Could it be mistaken for misbehavior? Yes, it could be, because a lot of times curiosity is looked at from that standpoint. Flexibility. If you are so anal that you only allow your opinion in the classroom and you don't allow a child, or you don't allow an approach to fail, then a creative child will stop trying. They'll say, I can't do it, so I'm not gonna even try. So you can't take away the flexibility of them not trying and failing at something. So what if their whiskers are located on the bunny's belly? Okay, in certain people's mind that's wrong, but that's not allowing the process of gluing. We allow the process of gluing to take place because it doesn't matter where the whiskers are located. They still had the opportunity to glue the whiskers, correct? Okay, so if we take away the flexibility that the whiskers can't be on the belly, then we've taken away the child's ability to think, oh, those whiskers really don't look good there. That doesn't look like a real bunny. So the child doesn't get to make those decisions for themselves. In other words, they don't have sensitivity to solve problems. So when they get into the bigger picture of, I'm an adult, I have a baby, and if I don't work, I don't make money, and therefore if I don't make money, I don't have a house, and I don't have food, or I don't have enough money to buy diapers for my baby. This is all working in the same process of teaching a child how to be a productive citizen. So there's sensitivity to problems. A child is quick to see the gaps of information, exceptions to rules, and the contradictions to what is seen and what is heard. We want them to be able to solve problems. We want them to have self-feeling. We want them to be original. We want them to have insight so that they become tolerant, divergent thinkers. Divergent means that they have different ways of thinking. They overcome the obstacles and they tolerate divergent ideas, such as people being of different cultures and different diversities. They begin to tolerate that. It provides discipline and structure to give children security to explore. Once boundaries are set, children will begin to explore. But if those boundaries are not set, the children will stay within themselves. That is known. That is based on research. That's not what Miss Maria says. That is based upon research. And it allows them to have honest expressions of their emotions. And it encourages children to feel intuitively well and to begin to think logically when you allow them to work through the process and be creative on their own and not worry about what the product looks like, but to allow them to engage in the process. Okay, so you are going to be doing 2D for your assignment, which is worth 10 points, and 2D is a blog. So basically you're going to be watching a YouTube video looking at figures 1.4 and 1.6 in your book. And then you're going to write a 300-word blog on what you observed and why is it important. And I want you to take this lecture, take lecture 2C, and say, Miss Maria's talked about this process over product, and I want to see some evidence that you are nailing in there and saying, hey, this is what I see. This is what should be happening, and I don't see it, and these are the reasons why it should be happening. So you should be taking my lecture content and actually putting it into practice within assignment 2D. Okay, have a good time. Let's see what you've learned.